Okay, Miss White, thank you for coming in today. I just wanted to take a moment to go over the informed consent. So what this is basically saying is that I am a student in a counseling skills class at CSU Stanislaus, and I am not technically qualified to be your counselor. This is a mock interview, and it's just goes over the boundaries, telling you that I'm an experienced counselor, that I will be video recording this, and I know you've chosen not to be seen. I am a student, but that doesn't mean that your confidentiality is not important to me. I will not be disclosing anything that we talk about in this video. However, my professor will be evaluating this video. So if you could please just sign here to acknowledge that we went over the informed consent and you're aware of what it entails. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. What brings you in today?
Well, I'm just having some stress right now, the random school stress, because I'm in the teaching credential program currently, and I have not been able to pass one of my tests, and I've taken it twice, and I keep missing it by about 1 or 2 points, and I have a job lined up in the fall to teach, but that is contingent on me passing this test.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you're stressed because you haven't been able to pass these 2 tests and you have a job lined up that is relying on you passing these tests.
Yes.
So how is that making you feel? I know it's making you feel stressed out like you said, but other than that, how is it affecting your day-to-day life?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's affecting my day-to-day life, but I just will I'll randomly think about it and be like, then I'll get stressed about it. So I try to, in the mornings it's a little bit better, and I am student teaching right now, so my day's pretty busy, so my mind is pretty much off it during the day, but after the day, constantly on my mind.
Right. So how do you think, I heard you mention student teaching. How's that going?
It's going pretty well. It's pretty stressful. I have a hard group of boys. I'm in 3rd grade. And my teacher said it's the toughest class that she's ever had in her 14 years of teaching. So, I mean, it's always an adventurous day, though. You don't really know what you're going to get when you come to school. But
okay, do you think that you were mentioning that student teaching is hard and stressful? Do you think that has anything to do with you not being able to dedicate a whole bunch of time to passing these tests?
I'm not sure. I think not really that stress, but more so the stress of learning the material for passing this test. I feel like I didn't really learn it in my methods course, and I haven't really been exposed to it in my student teaching either.
Right. So how do you think that not learning this, how has it affected you? Have you not been able to effectively study on your own, or are you not, what's going on with that?
No, I would say that my studying time is very little, and that's mostly because of my own focus and energy, which could in turn be related to my student teaching, because I do have to get there at like 8, get home around 5, and then I still am in other classes. So I think I haven't been really able to dedicate as much time because I am very low energy.
Right. So would you like to somehow find a way to put aside more time to study, or is it just kind of what happens?
Yeah, I think also when I do study, I feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over again, so it's very repetitive.
Right.
And I think that's something I struggle with, especially when it's repetitive. I have issues focusing.
Right. So what I'm hearing you saying is that you are student teaching full time. It's stressful. On top of that, you have the stress from school, and then when you do have time to study and you sit down and study, it's not going anywhere because it's repetitive. So what kind of steps do you think you could take to effectively study, or is there anything that you think could be done to help you out in this?
I'm not sure. I've recently started to participate in a study group, but again, I haven't been able to go that much just because of my student teaching, the after school things like open house. We had talent show and things like that, so I haven't been able to dedicate, again, much time to it.
Right. And how is your relationship with your fellow peers or your, like you said, your master teacher?
Mhm.
How is your do they offer you any help, or do you feel like you're on your own?
Yeah, they offer help, but they also didn't have to take this test or take
Right.
anything really similar to it. So they're very foreign to the test and everything. And it's hard to describe it to them. It's hard to describe the material
Right.
and everything like that. So, I mean, they help out, or she helps out as much as she can.
Mm-hmm.
And my cooperating teacher is very helpful on a day-to-day basis and everything like that. But I just think it's something that she cannot assist with, or can only assist so much with.
Right. So, if I'm understanding correctly, you have a good relationship with your master teacher?
Yes.
Right. So, would you say that she takes away stress from you, or does she add to the stress in any way, good or bad, or does she kind of try to relieve you of some of your?
I think she tries to relieve me of some stress, but lately she's just been so busy too, and she recently won Teacher of the Year, so she's been kind of out of the classroom a lot, and
Right.
just she has a lot of other things
Mm-hmm.
that she has on her plate, so she's been out a lot, and she kind of comes in and comes out during the day. So I think sometimes it adds more stress, because
Right.
normally right in the beginning of the day I don't really know what I'm teaching that day, but I think she does try to help. She tries to
Right.
check in with me as much as she can, but I'm also one to not necessarily ask for help.
Right.
I normally like to figure it out for myself. So, but I think she does try her best to relieve stress and help me in any way she
Right.
can.
So, the main part of your stress is coming from not being able to pass these tests.
Yes.
What is it that, I mean, if you cannot pass these tests, how will that affect you in the long run? Well, is there another option you're considering, or is this something that needs to happen, or you're going to go crazy?
Well, if I cannot pass this test, pretty much in a timely manner, because I have signed my contract with the district,
Right.
and I'll be starting in August. But if I don't pass the test, then I won't get my preliminary teaching credential
Right.
in order, and so I would go on what's called a STIP, so I'd be a long-term sub. But I mean, I would try to still stay positive about it, so even if that was the worst case
Right.
scenario, I would still be okay, and I'd still have more time. But I'm very anxious to pass it. So,
Have you spoken to your district about it, or are you holding off until you know more?
I briefly spoke to him just about like, what do I do if I don't have the scores in right now, and they pretty much just said to email the head resource lady when I had applied for my preliminary. So they haven't really given me an official deadline date. So I mean, that may be adding more stress to me, that I may be adding more stress than need to,
Mm-hmm.
because they haven't given me a date and it wasn't in my contract necessarily, but I know I need it. So, but they didn't give me a date.
All right. How is your relationship with the district? Do you know them, or is it kind of just you don't really know anything about them? You've just signed this contract, but the communication has not been there.
After signing my contract, there wasn't much communication after that. I signed my contract in early February. And I was in constant contact with them before that. I had interviewed with them, and then I came back and met with the head HR lady. But other than that, after I signed my contract, there's not much talk, just because they said that they wouldn't really know much until teachers put in their retirement and everything. But I do have like a meet and greet with the principals this upcoming week, so I think I may learn more information then.
Do you think you'll bring it up to them, or do you think you'll just kind of not say anything, and if it gets to be crunch time, then?
I think as of right now, I might not say anything, just because I know I know other people in my classes that have been hired by them, and they are pretty much in the same situation, if not kind of worse, because there's a lot of other tests that those people haven't passed as well,
Right.
and I just have that one. So I think as of right now, I wouldn't necessarily bring it up, but I just kind of need to know the deadline, or I just ask them the deadline to have my application in for a credential.
And how do you feel about kind of waiting to tell them rather than telling them soon, does it make you feel more stressed, or does it make you feel less stressed? That how would it affect your stress if you held off on telling them?
I'm not sure. I think that right now, for me, holding off and not talking to them about it is less stressful, because I think if I did have a date, then it would be constantly in my mind. It probably would be more beneficial to know that, but I think it would add more stress.
Right. So tell me a little bit about how your previous schooling has been. Do you struggle with the test taking? Is this just something that it's just one or two tests that you just can't pass? Or, I mean, how is it adding more stress because previously you have breezed through school, or?
Well, we've had to take CSATs and tests like that, and I passed 2 of them no problem, but one of them was a struggle. The history and the English one was a struggle for me. I had to do TPAs, and I passed all my TPAs except for this RECA test. So I think it has something to do with writing, which I'm not used to struggling in writing or anything English related.
Right. Were any previous tests super difficult for you, just like this one? I mean, I know you mentioned the TPAs and your CSATs.
One of the CSATs was pretty difficult for me. I think I had to take that one 3 or 4 times.
And do you remember how that affected you? Do you remember how you dealt with that?
I got very stressed at that point too, and I had passed it right at the deadline. So the day that I had to have in my test scores was the day I got my test score that I passed.
Right.
So that came down to crunch time at the deadline as well. So it's kind of like a repeat of it, I would say.
Do you feel that this time it's even more of a crunch time since you are now going out into your career?
Yeah, I think I felt more stressed previously just because I had my student teaching in order, and if I didn't have that test, then I would have had to take the semester off until I could pass the test. So I think I felt more stressed then than I do now, just because I know that I do have some more time and there are other options, but they're obviously not my first option.
Right. So I'm hearing that your previous schooling was never, you always were good at taking tests, you always got things done in a timely manner, but now it's just this one test and a previous test that you had that have given you struggles. And because of that, it's really stressing you out, because usually you aren't in situations like this.
Yeah.
So what's your plan? I mean, what would be, I know you mentioned the STIP, but other than that, what's your plan if, the worst situation comes about? What's your plan?
The worst situation would be to just do a STIP, so a long-term subbing. So I would still be in the class, but that's also something I don't know if the district would accept. Right. I know that some districts do and others don't. I'm hoping they would, just because there's such a teacher shortage, that they would at this time, and because I was such an early hire.
Right.
But I'm not sure exactly if my district will accept that, and if they didn't, then I guess I would just have to do random subbing on my own.
Do you have any ways that you're using right now to cope with your stress? Do you have a routine? Are you?
I would say I have a routine. I spend majority of my day student teaching, which takes up most of my time. Which during the day I don't feel as stressed because I'm focused on that. I'm focused on the kids and everything like that. But I would say that it's when I come home that I tend to stress, or during the night when I'm trying to sleep.
Right. Do you think that adding some sort of what's something you enjoy, like exercising or reading or drawing, something would help eliminate some of the stress?
I try to go to the gym as often as I can, but with time and everything and energy, it's something I don't fit in as much as I want. I used to go every day, and now it's probably just around 3 to 4 times a week.
Right. Do you think that if you tried to just put aside, 20 to 30 minutes every day to go, that would help kind of alleviate some of the stress you're having?
Yeah, I think it would. It's just hard finding the time, because I am in other classes, so now since it's getting crunch time at the end of the semester, it's me trying to figure out finishing up assignments and all the big things like that, because we didn't have a lot of assignments, or we didn't have strict due dates because of our TPAs and stuff, which is very nice of our professor, but now it's all due at the end.
Right.
So I'm also trying to fit time to get all of that in.
So, just to sum it up, you're feeling stressed because you haven't passed these 2 tests. You have a job that you've already committed to that requires you to pass these 2 tests in order to get your credential. And now you have all sorts of classwork that you're trying to finish as well.
Yes.
So, stress is obviously huge in your life right now. And I think it's very beneficial to find some time in your day to just spend time with you and forget about what's the stress is going on, and just kind of reflect on all the positive aspects of your life, and just keep doing your day-to-day and working the best you can to get everything you need to be done. And I think that by finding time to be by your, like I said, go to the gym, read something that you would be able to maybe alleviate some of the stress, and just kind of what happens, but also have a plan for what happens. And like I heard you say, you do have a plan for if you can't pass these tests, and you're hoping your district will give you the option to do the STIP. And I think that another beneficial thing would be maybe to speak to the district about it. Like you said, there's a teacher shortage, so maybe, they could help you out or find some way to make it all work.
Mm-hmm. I think those will all be very beneficial.
Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss or talk about, or do you feel like this session has helped?
Yeah, no, I think that was pretty much it. That is the majority and the bulk of my day-to-day stress.
Okay, well, I hope this session has helped, and I hope you kind of just reflect on things, and maybe next time we can delve deeper into other things that you would like to discuss, or, just talk about your stress, and maybe by talking about it, it'll de-stress you.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Miss White. Have a good day.
Thank you.